When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Makoni Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flags Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Makoni Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Makoni Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MakoniSetupShop.com and learn why Makoni Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Have you joined the fastest growing fantasy motorsports app yet? On Grid Rival, you can join leagues with your friends and manage your own fantasy team on what race fans are calling, hands down, the best fantasy motorsport app out there. F1 and MotoGP leagues are now live for the 2021 season. Joining a league on Grid Rival will make every race more exciting, more engaging, and of course, more competitive. Download Grid Rival now on your iPhone or Android smartphone. Grid Rival is an unofficial application and not associated with Formula One, MotoGP, or any of their athletes.
If there's one thing every car guy hates, it's cleaning the garage. Do you want to take most of the time and hassle out of that job? Then call Zone Garage of Eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Agnes and her crew will have your garage, shop, basement, or even your porch looking great all the time. With unique patterns and designs, plus the ability to incorporate your logo or any artwork, your space will never have looked better. Installation is done in 1 day, guaranteed, and Zone Garage offers a 20-year warranty on the top coat. Their coatings are durable, anti-slipped, and impact resistant. Give them a call at 570-856-6067. That's 570-856-6067 for Zone Garage of Eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Germany, the Hockenheimring, Baden-Württemberg, Germany, where tonight the Indy Pro 2000 series will hit the halfway point at the conclusion of this one. My name is Chris Graham with the National Racing Network. It is a pleasure to have you joining us this evening. As always, in the booth here, Sebastian Kinder and James Watson. I tell you what here, boys, first, before we get to that, as always, or of recent anyway, production and camera design by Mr. Connor Baldwin. Thank you very much for your assistance tonight, Connor. We greatly appreciate that. Tell you what here, boys. No surprise Greg Seitz is carrying the number 1 plate tonight, but how about a 22-car field? If this is anything like what we saw in Season 2, James, this race is going to be absolutely insane.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely amazing. All these different cars and drivers and skill levels, just having slugfest after slugfest around here. It's going to be a blast.
Taking a look here at Mike Holler as qualifications are underway. Only a couple of cars have not joined the racetrack just yet. Greg Seitz is one of just a couple of cars that is still on the outlap. Everybody else working lap number 1 down there through turn 6 goes Mike Holler. That's one of the best passing spots on the racetrack. But I tell you what, Sebastian, these cars have so much grip, they will run too wide through this entire middle section of the race course.
Guten Tag. Hockenheim, what can I say about this track? It's one of the best F1 tracks in the calendar. And yeah, with how little downforce they have and the grip they have, it's not impossible to them like going too wide through everywhere. Going through the stadium though, this will be a very hot spot, just like the hairpin at the end of the long straight that is called a parabolic hair apparently. So yeah, I really love this track.
Nagase Ashikawa going to be your quick timer, 1 minute 34.64 seconds. Mike Holler going to be second quick. Everett Paddock on a pretty good lap here, too. Nikita Lastoshkin jumps to the top of the speed charts. 83 thousandths of a second. New quick time, top of the board. Everett Paddock, how about 6/10 of a second for Everett Paddock? 133.89. And Greg Seitz, well, he went purple in Sector 1. Now he's going to be back down into the greens here. Take a look at, we can get the sector times here on our timing and scoring monitors, and Seitz going to be quickest in the middle sector as well. Everett Paddock actually was quickest in the first sector. Greg Seitz going to be quick through Sector 2 and Sector 3. See what he's going to do across the line. New quick time, top of the board, no surprise. Greg Seitz goes a half second faster than Everett Paddock. 1 minute 33.37. Holy cow. Greg Seitz is going to once again put on a show here.
Can we give him the win?
No. Actually, I'm kind of hoping Greg decides to do what he did earlier this season and start from the pit lane. Because it'll be fun to watch him come through the field. But Everett Paddock finishing up his second lap. He's gone personal best in each of the first two sectors. Nikita Lastochkin finishing up his second lap. He's going to be 7/10 of a second behind Greg Seitz. Everett Paddock's second lap. Going to be about, we'll call it about a third of a second back of Greg Seitz, but it may be more than that by the end of the lap, as Greg Seitz has gone purple in the first two sectors. He's a full 1.2 seconds fast in Sector 1 and 3/10 fast through Sector 2. That's over Everett Paddock's last lap times. This could be an absolutely monster lap out of Greg Seitz. Out of turn 17, he'll come down across the line. No quick time, 1 minute 33.026 seconds. Greg Seitz going to have a 6/10 of a second advantage over Everett Paddock here in qualifications.
My good Lord. And this is against the best in the world in the service. He's just like, come on, how are you going to put 6/10 on Everett Paddock of all people? Like, what even is that? Maybe if we scan the parking lot, we can see where Greg parked his spaceship. Because that man is alien in the finest degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go disassemble this car and take an inspection and see what's making it so great.
Following along here with Drew Lidke. He's working on lap number 1 here. J.W. Miller, who we just saw in the Ezra IndyCar Series race, turned 2 laps, neither one of which makes it to the scoreboard. So couple of small issues on each of those laps for J.W. Miller. Matt Gross also completing 2 laps without having one of those laps score. Matt Fairley, I don't think, is going to have enough time here, because qualifications have finished, and it is just about time to go racing here. 22 cars.
All right, let's see a great starts from the pits.
Let's get you the starting grid here for tonight's Indy Pro 2000. We'll call it the Midsummer Classic here. Greg Seitz and Everett Paddock will make up row number 1. Nikita Lastochkin and Nagisa Yashikawa in row number 2. Mike Holler, Steve Koffel on row 3. Frank Fernandez and John Dinkle on row number 4. Andy Corsa, Nathan Bart on row 5. Michael Olson and Greg Bell on row 6. Row 7 will have Simon Fell and Jason Padu. Louise Italo and Will Sutton on row number 8. Brian Strathman, Samuel Hill on row number 9. J.W. Miller and Canada's Drew Lidke on row 10. And the 11th and final row this evening will have Carolina's Matt Gross and Matthew Fairley. Just waiting on Everett Paddock and Andy Corsa to get onto the starting grid here, and we will be ready to go racing. There's the 2 of Everett Paddock jumping onto the grid. Great look there at your pole-sitting car of Greg Seitz. We've talked to him every broadcast this season. So I'll tell you what here, guys, outside of some possible turn 1 carnage, what else are we looking for here? But what's going to be the big storyline of this race? And you can't say Greg Seitz.
That backstretch.
Yeah, that's my pick too, because I mean, all we need to do is flash back to last season and realize how big the Parabolica played into how that race played out. And I know we were talking about this and hoping for this last week with the draft at the Glen, but it will be a heck of a lot more important here.
Green flag is out, race fans, and as always, one car going wide into turn number 1. The rest of this lap number 1 is going to be all yours. Getting ready to put lap number 1, about 3/4 of the way in the books here. And Greg Seitz out to a 2.5 second lead over Mike Holler. Everett Paddock having an early issue. He's going to fall all the way back to the 8th position. Having an off track here on lap number 1. Trouble on the racetrack for J.W. Miller and Matthew Fairley. We'll see if we can get you a Hot Shoe Raceware instant replay of that one. Is J.W. Miller going to be forced to take the tow back in here? J.W. Miller, that Castrol livery machine down to the inside. Big jam up into turn number 1. Oh, man, Fairley just absolutely ARCA brakes him going into turn number 1. Tough break there for J.W. Miller. Also seeing an issue on the racetrack for Nikita Lastochkin, who had a very good qualification run. He's going to be down 9 spots from the drop of the green flag. Just a little bit too heavy on the throttle. He's going to loop it around, self-spin it, gets the car straightened back out, but Nikita Lastochkin going to fall back to the 12th position. A couple of other minor issues on the racetrack, but Greg Seitz going to hold on to the race lead here as we're going to get ready to put lap number 2 of 19 up on the scoreboard here in just a moment. Mike Holland, Nagisa Yoshikawa, John Dinkel, Greg Bell, your top 5. Everybody has started to settle themselves down here just a little bit.
Everett almost killing 2 birds with 1 stone down the hairpin. He almost overtook the 11 of Greg Bell.
So Greg Seitz holding on to now a 3-second lead over Mike Holler, and no real surprise there that Greg Seitz is checking out on this one. Mike Holler, Nagisa Yoshikawa, John Dinkel, and now Everett Paddock, your top 5. Paddock and Greg Bell going to be in a good battle there for the 5th position. Making their way down into, I believe, turn number 5, turn 6.
I call it the hairpin.
Yeah, basically down into the hairpin. Hairpin is turn number 6. The Parabolica is turn 5. That was the closest battle on the racetrack here. Is Everett Paddock is, we'll say, about a half second, maybe 0.6 of a second ahead of Greg Bell. Paddock going to try to work his way back towards the front here. Next close battle on the racetrack is going to have the number 4 of Nagisa Yoshikawa and John Dinkel, only about 0.4 of a second behind him here. I tell you what, guys, you get down, turn 1 is almost reminiscent of the turn 1 you make at Watkins Glen. The only difference is you don't head up the hill. But outside of that, you make a long run, and then you're down into a series of the 2-3-4 complex is very tight. Great braking zone there at turn 2. Leads you into turn 5, which is the Parabolica right here, and a long run down to the hairpin at 6.
Yeah, that
on the racetrack. Go ahead, James.
That 2-3-4 complex is an absolute pain. You have to take it in such a way and make sure you maximize your speed off the corner. Otherwise, your lap and your race absolutely killed. Oh, and someone's there it is. Someone crashing when I'm talking. There it is.
Well, for once it ain't me.
It works here. Luis Italo, Simon Fell, Frank Fernandez, all going to be in a line here. Italo in that number 15. He's going to have Nikita Lastochkin only about a half second ahead of him here. One thing I will say I'm a little bit surprised at, and this may be the difference, there were some car changes made to the PM18s from Season 2 to Season 3. But these cars are not holding the draft in the same way that they did last time. Seems like handling is a significantly bigger factor this season.
They've definitely changed how they react in the dirty air a little more. I haven't really noticed much of a change with all the times that I race this car, but I kind of suck, so I don't know if I'm the best person you want to ask that.
Blah, 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 blah.
That's... Following along here with John Dinkel, and He's getting right up on the rear wing of Nagisa Yashikawa. This is where we saw a lot of the big dive bomb moves late in the race. If you're able to make the corner exit off of 6, that's really where it sets up this middle section of the racetrack.
Exactly, yeah. You want to have like it's not an issue if you did not pull the move all the way through. And problem for Nagisa. Yeah, he went completely wide, and John took advantage of that.
I said, almost looked like he missed the braking point there. Yashikawa really going to dive it in deep.
And meanwhile,
number 8, they'll follow back through 9 and 10, make their way down towards the stadium.
hey, look who's behind them. That's Everett Paddock.
Say Everett Paddock right there as well. 3, 4, 5, all going to be contended here. Working lap number 6, the lead for Greg Seitz. How about 5 seconds in the first 6 laps?
Ooh, this will be interesting.
3 cars enter the hairpin. How many make it on the other side?
Oh,
Dinkle and Paddock going to continue their fight. They're starting to catch back in here on Mike Holler just a little bit as well. Man, it was tight. This is the kind of racing we saw in 2021 Season 2. We're going to get a whole bunch more of this as we continue. We're not even to the halfway point yet.
good defense from John Dinkle, but good moves from Everett. Like that was some clean, hard battle right there. Oh, the 12. Oh, what was that? No. For a moment, I thought that was Mike. That was Mike. Just like, oh my god.
So Everett Paddock able to come around John Dinkle. He's going to grab the 3rd position and try to catch back in on Mike Holler. This is really, I think, guys, where we may see how much the draft matters. Everett Paddock was significantly faster than John Dinkle and Nagisa Yashikawa in qualifying, and he's starting to pull out that gap now. But Paddock may be having a bit of a connection issue here as well.
I know how it feels.
Pick up the battle here for the 8th position. Nikita Lastochkin, Nathan Bart going to be fighting for position. Greg Seitz out to a 5.6 second lead over Mike Holler. That's down just a little bit from a couple of laps ago here. Everett Paddock going to be 6 seconds back of Holler. Dinkle and Yashikawa, your top 5. Greg Bell, Nikita Lastochkin, Nathan Bart, Simon Fell, Luis Italo, your top 10. Seeing a lot of off tracks here, guys, and really not necessarily all that surprising when you consider the fact that as much as the place is racy, it's not the widest of racetracks. It's fairly technical as well.
Yeah, Hockenheim is a lot more technical than it used to be before. Remember, before it was almost an oval going flat out through the forest. Now it's pretty much a technical track, as we see Nagisa trying something. No, he's not trying something. And also the fact that the track limits are a bit stingy, let's say that. So you did the comparison earlier. Turn 1 is kind of the same as Watkins Glen, but I would say there's one difference. Is like at Watkins, you can go wide all the way you want, and no one will reprimand you on that. But like if you just slightly go too much on the left here at Hockenheim, there's an X.
Yeah, and over the course of the race, those could pile up, and we start to see some DQs come into play late in the race as well here when you have those. You get a 1X here, a 1X there, and all of a sudden now you got to be really careful with how you're driving the last handful of laps.
Yeah.
Almost to the halfway point here, working lap number 9. Trouble on the racetrack for Luis Italo. Let's get you a Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay of this one. Overcooks it into the hairpin just a little bit, grabs the throttle and loops it around. Lucky break a couple of cars not to get collected in a big-time way. Italo going to get the car spun back around. He will resume in the 14th position. A couple of pretty good hard chargers here. Drew Lidke up 8 spots running in the 12th position. Greg Bell is up 6 to the 6th position. The only driver who's really fallen down the wayside here a little bit is Steve Koffel. He's down 13 spots, currently running in the 19th position. Recapping the field here as Greg Seitz is going to put lap number 10 up on the scoreboard. The lead 7.5 seconds over Mike Holler, and quite frankly, no real traffic in front of him either. Seitz setting quick lap after quick lap. Best lap was 2 laps ago, 1 minute 33.43 seconds. Last time around, 1 minute 33.85. So Greg Seitz is doing Greg Seitz things here at the front of the field. In fact, he's doing it in more ways than one, because when you take a look at the point standings, Greg Seitz is your overall points leader. He's counted races in 6 weeks, so he has already run this week at Hockenheim. 17 starts, 14 wins, 15 top fives, 13 poles, an average finish of 3rd, 311 of 438 laps led for a 200-point lead over Mitch Green. But then you look at 4th place in the overall point standings, and it's Greg W. Seitz. 5 weeks counted, 35 starts, 31 wins, 35 top fives, 30 poles. The man is just a menace in these cars.
I mean, God, not even Greg can beat Greg. Like, what even is that?
Looks like Greg's only weakness is himself.
How much?
Yeah.
That is such a ridiculous flex, though, that you can be 1st and 2nd in a series. Like, talk about dropping a dookie on every single person who runs the car. Like,
yeah, Mitch Green and Fabio Berchtold are actually, they're 2-3 in overall points, but they're actually very close to each other. They're only about 60 points apart for the Division 2 championship. The Division 1 championship is Greg Seitz and Greg Seitz. Ann Medema is 3rd in Division 1, about 450 or so points behind where Greg Seitz is running. They do have another big strength of field race coming up tomorrow afternoon as well, which I would guess at this point is just another chance for Greg to pad the stats a little bit here.
Stat patter.
I'm still looking for my box. Can't find anything yet.
Yeah, looking for the superlatives it's getting difficult here. He's a 4.5 A-level license, a 6984 iRating. The man's just a menace. Mike Olson, Jason Paydu going to be battling back here for the 12th position as we work lap number 11. Paydu backing off of Olson. At least a little bit anyway, maybe trying to reset the run here. And I would imagine, Seb, that's really one of the strategy tactics of driving this racetrack is maybe it's worthwhile to back out when the run's not going to materialize in the right spot.
Exactly. You have a long straight that can help you get closer to your opponent. If you feel like you're not going to overtake him at the next corner, just stay behind him and save some fuel. Well, that would be my logic if we had a longer race, but this here, we don't have to save fuel. So that's what I would have done. But you have to be very sure that you can keep up on the tight and twisty sections.
So we'll take a look here, and well, the lead is up to 10 seconds, and Everett Paddock really isn't closing in much on Mike Holler either. That gap is still 5.9 seconds or so, as we see Paddock going to be leading John Dinkle by 3 1/3 seconds. You can see the gaps on your screen there. The closest one on the racetrack is a half second from John Dinkle to Nagisa Yashikawa. Also, Mike Olson and Jason Paydu about a half second apart. Everybody else is really separated out at this point.
Well, Chris, I guess the battle for fourth will be heating up because, yeah, we have Nagisa and John just really duking it out, and we have Nikita who is recovering from his lap 1 mistake. So, yeah, going to be interesting.
It's got a great recovery for Nikita Lastochkin. He very much seems to be either very on it or very not in the PM18s, at least here on the iRacing service anyway. Lastochkin, one of the real-world drivers of these cars. You see him at all the stops for the road to Indy. As Lastochkin looking to the outside. He's going to come around Nagisa Yashikawa down into the hairpin. That's a kind of a gutsy move there on the outside of the Parabolica. But that's the move that we saw last season where you had to run the long way around the Parabolica to claim the inside lane heading into the hairpin.
Oh, he nice bomb!
Big move. Oh, what a pass.
Yes!
Oh, that was... What a move. Oh my goodness.
Ricardo style. John will not like that.
Yeah, that was kind of gut sack move right there. Stuff it in, see if it sticks. Nikita Lastochkin up to the 4th position. We'll see if he's going to be able to catch in on Everett Paddock, though, as we're going to be down to 5 laps to go next time by. Yeah, producer Connor checking in saying that that's the move of a guy who races these things in real life. You just kind of develop a feel for the car, I guess. Not the same driving it here in iRacing platform as it is in the real world. There are some very obvious physical differences. But you still just got to have the confidence that you know that that move's going to stick.
Yeah, our producer Connor just made an excellent point. Brake sights to a road to Indy win.
If there's a team listening, you know what you have to do. Now, speaking of grid size, like I'm looking at the gap. Last lap it was 9 seconds, but coming to the line this lap, it was 6.5 seconds.
Good battle back here between Drew Lidke and Frank Fernandez. And the gap is definitely closing at the front of the field. Actually, it's closing from 1st to 2nd and 2nd to 3rd. Going to be down to 5 laps to go as Greg Seitz comes off of turn number 16. Seitz, yeah, he's really losing a ton of time here. He's down to 3.5 seconds for the lead over Mike Holler. In fact, that last lap, 1 minute 37.33 to the 134.50 of Mike Holler.
What happened?
Not seeing an off track, not seeing anything like that. I mean, there's no way that Greg Seitz is intentionally backing down here, is he?
I mean,
That would be cheeky. That's
Cheeky's one word you might be able to use for it, but the battle rages on here between John Dinkle and Nagisa Yashikawa. Dinkle down to the inside. He'll hold on to it out of the hairpin. Checking in the comments here. Damage for Greg. I wouldn't think so. I don't know where he would have gotten it, unless he got it hitting a curb in a big way or something. We don't see any off tracks. We don't see anything like that. And the gap is now holding steady at 3 seconds. I mean, literally, could this have been as simple like as, like Greg Seitz is going to grab another beer or something here?
yeah, he just stepped off his rig and let the cat drive for him. I think he's got that beer now because he's starting to eat the gap back out again.
Yes, the lap times, again, Mike Holler a little bit quicker to the tune of 0.2 of a second than Greg Seitz was that last time by. He's down to 4 laps to go here at the Hockenheimring. Yoshikawa going to look up to the inside. He ran the outside line through the parabolica. We'll see if he's going to go full send here. He does not, but forces Dinkle to run wide. A little bit of wheel spin out of Dinkle on the exit of the corner. Yoshikawa not going to be close enough to attempt it into turn number 8 either. Now through turn number 10, they're going to work their way out towards the stadium section. And you're really back now. If you're Yashikawa, you're right back to, you have to set the move up again. Little bit of a mistake out of Dinkle's going to let Yashikawa close back in. But there's really not a good passing zone in here, so you're really just trying to set this up for the run into turn 1.
Yeah. Turn 1 and the run into out of the 2, 3, 4 complex, which, on a stupid little side note, has always reminded me of a hipster with a really nice pompadour hairstyle.
what was that reference?
Drew Lidke, He's going to get loose in the stadium, make his way out through 16.
That is not that isn't the common place to lose it. I
was going to say, it's not a real friendly spot to lose it anyway. How about this, guys? The gap is closing at the front of the field. Greg Seitz a full second slower than Mike Holler that last time by. The gap's down to 2.2 seconds.
That is very weird. Like, did the power start right now or something like that?
Yeah, we'll follow along with Greg Seitz here for a lap or so to see. I mean, there's not really places like where you can go, oh, Greg's losing, Greg Seitz doesn't typically lose time. The only thing we're seeing, he's about 0.2 slower in Sector 1, 0.2 slower in Sector 2, and he's a tick slower in Sector 3. But it's not like it's a massive number or anything.
Well, 2 laps to go. I doubt Michael will get back at him.
They say Greg goes overall fastest in Sector 1. He's turning the heat back up here. And the gap's opening back up to the range of 3 seconds or so as he's down to the hairpin.
Oh no, my tires are gone! You know, Chris, he might have just let Michael come back.
I
Like, how
at
can you
least
swing that?
playing with them a little bit. I don't know. We'll have to ask him here in the post-race because Greg Seitz finishing up the second sector here in the racetrack. Does not go fastest overall in that one, but he definitely still has the opportunity to put a best lap on the board here. Leads over 3.1 or right about 3.1 seconds now. Clean through 15 and off of turn 16. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for Greg Seitz. He opens the lead up. I almost wonder if he didn't want to have to deal with the lap cars and just trying to avoid dealing with them whatsoever. Once again, Greg Seitz putting on an absolute clinic. Last lap time was a full second, 0.8 of a second faster than Mike Holler.
Yeah.
Even if Mike Holler got there, there's a difference between getting to someone and passing them, and not many shots left here. Greg Seitz works his way through Mercedes, the 910 complex. Oh, this good battle between Yoshikawa and Dinkel's going to continue. Dinkel going to try to break the draft as he heads down towards turn number 8 for the final time.
Oh!
Yoshikawa sticks up the inside.
Oh my god. Oh!
Back to the outside. This is going to be a great run off the corner for Yoshikawa. He's going to have the spot. Has to leave a little bit of room for Dinkel.
Ah, he's behind.
Off the final corner, checkered flag in the air. Greg Seitz picks up the win here at Hockenheim. We go back to the battle for 5th between Dinkel and Yoshikawa. Through 15, now 16. A little bit of a run wide for Nagisa Yoshikawa, and that'll be all she wrote. Checkered flag is out. Your top 7 are across the line. Greg Seitz getting the win tonight by 2.1 seconds over Mike Holler. Have to go back another 13 seconds to find Everett Paddock, your 3rd place finisher. Nikita Lastochkin, John Dinkel, Nagisa Yoshikawa, Greg Bell, Nathan Bart, Simon Fell, and Frank Fernandez, your top 10. Jason Paydu, Drew Lidke, Michael Olson, Brian Strathman, and Samuel Hill back through 15th. Hill, the first car, 1 lap down. Steve Koffel, Andy Corsa, Matt Grosh, J.W. Miller, Will Sutton, Luis Italo, and Matthew Fairley will round out the field here this evening. So we're waiting on our podium finishers here to get in. We'll get you the results here up on the screen. And guys, we saw it again. Greg Seitz doing Greg Seitz things. Absolutely dominant here at Hockenheim. Quick time in practice, sets the pole lap, then leads every lap of the race. set the fastest lap of the race as well. I don't know what else we say about the guy. It's a great run for Mike Holler in the second position. And unfortunately for Everett Paddock, a little bit of an early issue depriving us of kind of the one shot we were going to have at a pretty good race here. Let's pick up our third place finisher here this evening, Everett Paddock. And Everett, not a bad run for you tonight here. Unfortunately, a little bit of an early issue kind of took away any shot of a tight battle there with Greg.
Yeah, that's racing, right? But we salvaged some, a decent finish out of it.
Yeah, and I would imagine it was probably a little bit of fun to drive up through the field here because it looked like, and we saw this play out over the course of the race, the top five sort of got separated out from everybody, and you really weren't racing. There wasn't a whole ton of real, neck and neck racing anywhere in the early top part of the field either.
Yeah, it's good to battle wheel to wheel. A lot of times, especially with Greg, he just checks out. You're just trying to stick with him. So it was more fun to do a little, practice a little racecraft.
Well, Everett, congratulations on the podium finish here, and I'm sure you're looking forward to the second half of the season. But who do you want to thank?
I appreciate you guys putting on the broadcast, and thanks for the community managers. Just happy to participate. Thanks, guys.
So there you go. There's Everett Paddock, your third place finisher. Let's bring up Mike Holler here, your runner-up finisher this evening. And Mike, it was all in all not a bad run, and we'll say first in class, maybe.
Yeah, right. With Greg up front. I just kind of held my own at the start there. Didn't get involved in anything, and then saw Everett had fallen back, and I saw he only fell a little bit back. So I was flat out the whole race. I was not managing that position. It was go or no go. And it went. So I'm really, really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it seemed like that was kind of the mode of the race here because Greg was setting quick lap after quick lap, and everybody else was kind of just following in line. And it really was managing the race, how you hit lap traffic and how you got around them and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, and just making sure I keep hitting my marks over and over. That was great. I didn't even know for probably 2 laps, Greg was just a couple seconds in front of me. I know he was. I don't quite know what he was doing there, but I know he was still faster than me. I didn't even really notice it because I was just too busy. Had my relative looking for Everett, trying to maintain that 4 or 5 seconds that I had. It was a good time.
Well, congratulations on the runner-up finish here tonight, bud. Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, so I'd like to thank my fiance Valerie watching, and I'd like to thank Citizens Climate Lobby, who I do work with. You see that on the livery. I think that's the first time I can talk about that here. So that's great. If anyone's interested, get involved with that. Let me know. Just really exciting things happening there, and glad to be a part of it.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much, Mike. We appreciate it. And bring in our race winner here, Greg Seitz. And I have to ask, Greg, what happened there with a handful of laps to go that all of a sudden you turned a 1-minute 37-second lap?
Oh, I was just practicing alternate lines. Didn't want to put a good race to waste there. I was running the inside lines, just basically kind of practicing for races where things didn't turn out that way. It was really unfortunate what happened to Everett there.
I would imagine it kind of gets to be a little bit tough when you're anticipating a tight battle at the front, and instead, Everett had the issue. Mike ended up a ways back, and I mean, it really was then just a hot lapping exercise for you at that point.
Yeah, and that's why I went into the mode of just kind of trying to get some value out of that race. Was just running really crazy inside, pretending essentially I was side by side with people.
All in all, a fantastic drive again. Your dominant points run continues, and I don't know. At this point, you were 200 points up. Who knows what it's going to be after this week? But congratulations on the win and a big points lead here. Who do you want to thank?
I just think my team. By the way, the points is much closer than you think because of the drop races. My teammate Mitch is only 30 points behind me if you actually account for the drop races. So we may have a good battle on our hands throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, I want to just thank the rest of my team and you guys for the broadcast.
All right, Greg, thank you very much. We appreciate the time here, bud, and we'll get you back to... There we go, back to where you were anyway. I tell you what here, guys, as we get ready to wrap things up here this evening, again, no surprise to see Greg Seitz run away with it, but that didn't mean we didn't have some good racing back in the pack.
Yeah, that Nagisa Dinkel battle was absolutely amazing to watch. And watching Everett drive up through the pack with the super recovery drive was also a lot of fun.
And don't forget about Nikita. He was also entertaining to watch.
Yeah, Nikita Lastochkin put on a bit of a show here, and unfortunately we had a couple of battles that were really tight for kind of lap after lap that we didn't even get to show a lot of the recovery drive, but really goes to show the experience of really this whole field. Every one of these drivers had at least a realistic shot of finishing second to Greg Seitz here tonight.
Indeed.
But with that, we'll wrap things up here for our night of broadcast coverage from Hockenheim. For Sebastian Kinder, James Watson, and producer Connor Baldwin, my name is Chris Graham. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you with us here this evening. We will talk to you all soon. Have a great night.